This guy's about to find out the hard way why you never poke the bear, especially when that bear is a US Navy carrier strike group. What just happened wasn't just a warning shot, it was a thunderous reminder to Iran and its network of proxies. America's still watching, still locked in, and still very capable of unleashing devastating precision when it chooses to. But this wasn't just another strike in the long list of operations in the Middle East. This was something bigger, something historic. Because the pilots of the Black Knight Squadron didn't just fly a mission, they rewrote the playbook. It began like any other launch from the deck of a US aircraft carrier. Steel thunder, jet engines screaming, the ocean spray misting off the deck. But the second those F-35s got the all clear, it was go time. The pilots shoved their throttles forward and kicked in the afterburners, unleashing nearly 40,000 pounds of raw power. The jets screamed down the runway at around 170 miles per hour, barely clinging to the edge of physics as they leapt off the deck. But this wasn't just a show of speed and grace. It was a carefully calibrated takeoff, because each of those F-35s was carrying serious firepower. These weren't your average bombs either. These were Blue 109s, 2,000-pound bunker busters designed to do one thing: dig deep and obliterate anything hiding beneath layers of rock, soil, or reinforced concrete. The BLU 109 can rip through 8 feet of concrete, 20 feet of solid rock, or 100 feet of dirt before detonating. That kind of penetration is made possible by a hardened steel casing wrapped around a devastating core. Once it strikes, a timed delay fuse gives the bomb a few milliseconds to tunnel into its target before unleashing its explosive payload. The damage? Catastrophic. Next to each bunker buster sat another kind of weapon, GBU, 31 Joint Direct Attack Munitions, better known as JDAMs. At their core, these are ordinary Mark 84 general-purpose bombs, but with the addition of GPS guidance kits and tail fins, they become surgical tools. Dumb bombs turned into high-tech assassins, able to steer themselves right onto a target with pinpoint accuracy. Now you might wonder, why mix the loadout? Why not go all in with 4 bunker busters per jet? Simple. This strike wasn't about maximum explosive yield. It was about smart targeting. See, the Houthis have been launching anti-ship cruise missiles at both military and civilian vessels since 2023. But they're not firing from open launch sites. These missiles are hidden, deep inside mountain caves well away from the coast. Once they get targeting data, crews roll the missiles out, fire, then vanish back into their hideouts. 2 of their most active bases are buried in the rugged terrain between Marib and Al-Baida. The rebels keep supplies and personnel flowing between these mountain outposts via a bridge that's become a vital artery in their operations. The US knew that if it wanted to stop these launches, it would have to go deep, literally. So the plan was simple in theory, but complex in execution. First, crack the hardened surface with bunker busters. Then follow up with JDAMs to detonate any hidden weaponry buried beneath. The JDAMs, with over 400 pounds more explosive than the bunker busters, were the second punch in a brutal 1-2 combo. But before any of that could happen, they had to get past the most advanced guerrilla air defense network in the world. The Houthis, with Iranian backing, have turned Yemen into a no-fly zone of nightmares. Thousands of short, medium, and long-range systems blanket the country. And they're not just for show. Over the past 5 years, they've downed dozens of drones and manned aircraft, including an American Reaper drone and a Saudi fighter jet. They're aggressive, and they're experienced. Their short-range systems, shoulder-fired Soviet Iglas, twin-barreled ZSU-23-4 cannons, and SA-7s are effective against low-flying aircraft. But against a jet cruising at 30,000 feet, they might as well be water pistols. The real danger lies in their medium and long-range platforms. For medium-range defense, the Houthis rely heavily on Iranian-supplied SA-2 missiles, high-explosive fragmentation warheads with a 30-kilometer range. These are area denial weapons, meant to saturate the airspace and overwhelm pilots with sheer volume. But what really keeps pilots awake at night are the long-range systems like the Fader-1, a modified S-75 with a 100-kilometer range and a 25-kilometer ceiling. One of those missiles gets a lock and it's game over. Luckily, the F-35s aren't easy to spot. With a radar cross-section of just 0.0015 square meters, roughly the size of a golf ball, these aircraft are nearly invisible on radar. That's thanks to their radar-absorbing paint, stealthy design, and composite materials that reflect almost nothing. No sharp edges, no radar returns. just a ghost slicing through the sky. Still, even ghosts need backup. If you looked closely at the formation taking off, you might have spotted something that looked like another fighter jet, but it wasn't. It was the EA-18G Growler, a flying electronic warfare platform armed not with bombs, but with something far more powerful: information warfare. This Growler was packing the ALQ-249 Next Generation Jammer, an electronic weapon so advanced it can cripple an entire air defense network without ever firing a missile. Operating in the critical mid-band frequencies of 1 to 6 gigahertz, this system can block, jam, or completely fry the very radar systems that enemy forces rely on to spot incoming threats. As the Growlers moved toward the Yemeni coastline, their jammers lit up the skies, scanning, analyzing, and disrupting enemy radar networks. One by one, the threats were silenced. Reports confirmed that at least one radar site was taken out during the mission. With the air defenses effectively blinded, the F-35s slipped in undetected. The first wave of bunker busters hit their mark, each one carving a deeper tunnel into the mountain with seismic force. The ground shook. Enemy fighters scrambled for cover, but the second wave was already inbound. JDAMs followed, hammering the now exposed missile caches and triggering massive secondary explosions. By the end, satellite images showed the mountaintops had been flattened, and the pilots, every single one made it back. Thanks to the F-35's stealth, the Growler's jamming, and a flawlessly executed plan, they returned to the carrier without a scratch. Just in time, in fact, to rewatch the mission footage. For the Houthis, it was a message written in fire. You can run, you can hide, but if you come at US forces, you're going to pay in full.